For many years, evidence has been growing that demonstrates that UFOs are observing humanity. In more modern times, we have come to realize that UFOs are strategically monitoring us from the skies. Just as we would carry out surveillance on a country's infrastructure and military capabilities when at war, UFOs seemingly are doing the same. Should they ever want to initiate first strike on humanity, then clearly the odds are stacked against us. UFOs are likely monitoring civilian aircraft and civilian airports, military aircraft and military Air Force bases and facilities, prominent buildings such as Washington, D.C., power plants and industrial facilities, USAF storage facilities, naval operations on and below sea level, NASA, space operations and exploration, technological advancements and communications. UFOs can become stealthy in a way that they become radar invisible. On many occasions, strange lights or craft have been visible in the sky from civilian and military airport towers, yet not seen on radar. There are also many accounts of UFOs being captured on radar moving at incredible velocities. In some cases, the speed of UFOs are rarely accurately estimated. Some UFOs have been recorded on radar showing speeds of 6,000 to 20,000 miles per hour. Astronomers have even claimed to have monitored UFOs traveling at enormous speeds of 11 miles per second, which is coincidentally the same as the Earth's gravity escape speed. UFOs have been seen to disappear in the blink of an eye, stop and turn at sharp angles. Many researchers speculate that UFOs are present in our skies more often than we think, simply that we cannot see them because they're traveling so fast that our eyes are not capable of seeing them. Scientific experiments carried out in mediumship and control seances during a study known as Phenomena Project 2015 to 2018 demonstrated that phenomena can be conjured. In 1972, a parapsychology study called the Philip Experiment was held in Toronto, Canada. Its purpose was to determine whether subjects can communicate with a fictionalized ghost. The scientific experiment was successful. Strange sounds, object movement, and even sightings of a ghostly manifestation matching the fictionalized drawings of the ghost was witnessed, proving that the power of thought can somehow manifest this phenomenon into the real physical world. This is by all intents and purposes a form on conjuring the phenomenon, similar to how strong belief can cause the physical appearance of stigmata to appear on the body, manifesting in the real physical world. This same process of conjuring the phenomenon may also be being applied when discussing the manifestation of UFOs during CE5 training as part of the C-SETI program run by researcher Stephen Greer. Subjects are taken to locations where the phenomenon has been seen to manifest, and through the process of utilizing meditation groups, the phenomenon can manifest. This can be perceived as that the phenomenon has a conscious connection with the meditation group, and after a period of time may appear to them. It would seem that UFOs have been documented for thousands of years. This could be a phenomenon that has always been here on Earth, possibly predating historical documentation. Old documents found in Ireland's public records describe strange incidents in the early 1900s. One such document, dated 1907, states, "One evening in harvest time, a strange thing was seen coming, flying through the air. It was like a train and was loaded with white-colored people. There was an old fort in the village where fairies used often. When this strange train came to the lake, it dropped all at once on the lake and was sending steam up into the air. After a while, it dropped into the fort and was never seen again." Researchers have noticed two things here. The first is that similar reported incidents took place in 1946 in Sweden and neighboring countries. These became known as the Scandinavian ghost rockets, often reported to have descended from the sky and slowly land onto lakes. A great hiss sound was heard as steam filled the air. The strange craft would then disappear under the surface of water, never to be seen again. Searches were carried out by military personnel who never located the mystery object, even though on occasion they dredged the location. It would seem these mysterious craft sank below the water and then traveled off away from the location. On a few occasions, they were reported having windows along their side, similar to a train. Whatever these strange craft were, it would seem that the descriptions given by the witnesses were very similar to those seen in Ireland during the early 1900s. The second is that the witnesses' report from Ireland gives mention to an important detail, that the strange craft was at least seen in the vicinity of an old fort where fairies were known to use. This fort is not a fortification made of stone, but a fairy mound. It would seem that through tradition, there is a connection between forts and supernatural beings, as well as lights and UFOs. Modern research also provides interesting data. It would seem that on many occasions, UFOs have been seen entering into the ground, mountains, hills, cliff races, rocky boulder regions, and of course mounds. There are many incidents of UFOs seen entering into the ground, often not too far away from natural rock formations. Could there somehow be a connection between these craft and how they dematerialize, and the properties within the rocks or stones? It's interesting to point out that around 70% of strange disappearances take place in or near to locations of rocks or boulder fields. On April 28, 1947, Thor Heyerdahl travelled to Polynesia on nothing more than a raft. This was known as the Kon-Tiki expedition. Heyerdahl, along with 5 companions, sailed the raft for 101 days, over 4,300 miles across the Pacific Ocean. During their journey, a number of interesting diary entries were written. They read, "I caught sight of a faint illumination down in the water. Sometimes it was roundish, sometimes oval or triangular, and suddenly it split into 2 parts. Finally, 3 of these large shining phantoms were wandering round in slow circles under us, around 5 fathoms long. This went on for 4 hours. Occasionally, we would see the sea boil and bubble. We saw phosphorescent eyes drifting on the surface on dark nights. We saw something like a big wheel come up and rotate in the air, while dolphins tried to escape by hurling themselves desperately through space." What was it that Heyerdahl and his crew saw? Some would suggest that they were describing some type of UFOs, or should we say underwater submerged objects, sometimes referred to as unidentified submerged objects. Many UFOs seen in the night sky often consist of bright glowing light around them. This is known as the luminous halo phenomenon. Reports of nocturnal sightings usually give reference to an intense luminosity surrounding the UFOs. These are varied in color, however, amber being the most common and sometimes referred to as amber gamblers. These are not only seen during the night, but also during daylight hours. A number of these objects have been photographed a few times in Arizona, USA. Scientists have speculated that the luminosity surrounding UFOs is a secondary atmospheric effect caused by a propulsion field, an effect being a result of a quantified gravitational field that interacts with elementary particles of matter, which consist of a natural energetic flux containing kinetic momentum, explaining inertia and gravitation, a gravitational field. Further evidence of UFOs generating a gravitational field can be found in reports where witnesses have seen a UFO manifest close to the ground and their car headlights seem to bend towards the craft. Gravitational distortions can cause light waves bent and follow different paths due to changing the geometric properties. As part of a 5-year research program known as Project Doorway, researchers Barry Fitzgerald and Steve Mera have provided some of their latest research in regards to environmental anomalies has provided a number of interesting discoveries. It would seem that certain locations where UFOs have been reported to manifest have been affected in unusual ways. The evidence obtained from on-site analysis would suggest that the phenomenon produced gravitational anomalies, assumed to be a byproduct of their manifestation. A high percentage of UFO manifestations take place in positive magnetic anomalies. However, to measure these effects, it is important that the investigator reaches the location within the first 48 to 72 hours. Filming UFOs comes down to a number of variables. The first is that the UFOs seemingly demonstrate a conscious connection with the observers, occasionally thus may not appear while cameras are out and set to film, identical in behavior of poltergeist disturbances. They can seemingly affect camera equipment and other electronic devices, causing them to fault. The phenomenon can also appear to look different on film due to their oscillation of lights and even a frequency of sound they may be producing. Could it be that good video evidence of UFOs are obtained simply by pure luck, being in the right place at the right time? Possible, but on some occasions it would seem that they purposely allow themselves to be visually documented. Could it be that this phenomenon has many different faces? According to tens of thousands of reports worldwide, it is possible that a single phenomenon has been at play for thousands of years. If not predating historical documentation, there have been over 2,000 different types of entities reported, over 30 types of greys alone. Experiences from around the world claim to have been given information about where they came from, amounting to over 300 locations said to be out in space. From the earliest recording of entities to the modern-day phenomenon, the principles of the interaction and abduction incidents have not changed, be it the Irish fairies abducting children to the current alien greys abducting people. In all the many varied accounts from around the world since the beginning of historical documentation, have we been experiencing a single phenomenon, a single intelligence? Same phenomena, different mask.